Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, missing chromebooks. Hello.
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 Aaron, you okay there?
Yes, I'm fine.
The struggle is real, apparently.
Movie stuff. I'm fine. I am fine.
Oh man, the fair's in town. Couldn't tell by
I've
the
heard.
traffic.
I was gonna say, can you still hear it outside your back door?
Oh my gosh. It's gonna be bad. Really bad. No. It makes of course, this is whenever we have like several drop-ins that are over kind of like on that side of town. So it's just like
Naturally.
Of course.
Into the belly of the beast, as it were.
300,000 people or however many appreciate you.
Ew, gross. Are you exaggerating, or is that a real live number?
That's a real life number.
That's disgusting.
Ew.
That's too many people. Oh no.
No, they 300 and almost 340,000 people attended in 2019. So they're expecting it to be basically just high.
I didn't really know that many people went to the state fair.
Yes.
It's odd because that's a thing that generally, until my brother moved next door to it, I didn't ever really remember that it existed.
I know.
Right? It's one of those things. It's like outside of my sphere, you know? So like, I don't ever think about it happening. And then randomly I'll hear somebody be like, oh yeah, I went to the state fair. And I'm like, the what? Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally. As a matter of fact, I completely forgot that the state fair was in town until we were moving here, and they were like, "Oh, you need to move here in like a week because after that the fair's in town." I was like, "No." So, like the fair descended, and I was like, "Oh gosh, that was bad." So, yeah,
it's a weird phenomenon, the fair. You know, I don't know. I don't really know. It's a weird one. Like, I just never really got into it, I guess. I've been to a fair before, and it was just like, I don't know. It was very diminishing returns for me. I feel like I went once, and that was really all I needed. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some interesting things about it. I know people will get really big about like the concert and who they have, like the Beach Boys. Beach Boys,
yeah, but
be in here?
They are. But in 2021, that's the other thing about the fair. Like, anybody that get to the fair was the really, really big name 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. That's some people that come to the fair. Like, nobody wants to see the Beach Boys in 2021, right? Reprising the drummer, even though the reprising drummer is John Stamos, like he did that one time.
Yes.
Kind of not really that great a drummer.
Well,
and his time with the Beach Boys, the first time, little underwhelming, if we're honest. I don't.
Yeah, and then they have the exhibitions and the competitions, for the youth and the whatever and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think it's fun, and you can go see the butter cows, right? Don't forget about those.
What?
The cows that are shaped out of butter.
Of course.
It's hard to know when you say a word like butter cow, like what you're actually talking about.
I know. So obviously we're gonna go later next week once kind of the hype all dies down.
Yeah, that's true. Don't go the first day.
We have to ride the Ferris wheel and get our face painted. Is what I've been told.
Oh.
So as directed. those are the directives, and we must execute. I am trying to see if we can go to like a truck and tractor pull sometime. Because those are always fun. And the kids have little earmuffs that Dad bought them. So
hey,
we're prepared.
Well, I mean, that is definitely useful for a tractor pull, because that is one of the loudest things in the universe. Is that
we can hear it from our house. So when it's going on. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
well, hopefully you can survive the goings on.
Hopefully our infrastructure as well. Our one and only roundabout was basically just driven straight through overnight last night. Where they they didn't even,
that would have been the tractor pull contestants, ladies and gentlemen. That's probably who did that.
They didn't even try. They just right through.
Goodness.
So that's something else. But I saw that and I was like, of course, it's the one bendy bit in town, and
can't be bothered with it.
Oh, I laughed so hard.
Let's be real. They are people from like central Missouri. So what most likely happened is somebody went, I ain't never seen one of these before, and just like drove right through it. I bet that's,
That sounds about it. Yeah.
Or
I guess
they just did it totally on purpose. Like, hey man, this would be hilarious. Watch this. Blap.
Yes.
Like, that's what happened.
Oh no, 100%. And they didn't even go like, it's even slightly skewed to the left, so they were coming from the east, and usually, roundabouts always go to the right, where you go around them. They went to the left and then through it. So, like, perfect. So you started going in the wrong direction and then corrected, I guess. And then
this is why we can't have nice things, Missouri. This right here. Why can't we have nice things? Why you have to break everything? What's the matter with you?
Oh man.
But again, I feel like I don't know. The fair intrigues me from like a historical perspective, right? Like the history of fairs, like the traveling show thing. I find that kind of like mildly interesting, but like I don't want to go to one because I feel like this is just my personal experience.
Sure.
And this is for the fairs in the Midwest. So all you listeners outside the Midwest, please feel free to tell me how wrong I am. But like here, they always sound kind of like a good idea. It sounds cool. Like everything about it sounds cool. And then you go and it's just like a massive disappointment on like every level for me. You're like, oh, there's going to be this stuff. But it's like, there's rides, but they're all kind of like broken. And you're like looking at them and you go, I don't know if I want to ride that. You're like, there's food, but it's kind of like not good looking when you see it. Like there's music, but it's like I said, bands from 15, 20 years ago that you forgot existed. Like one year in high school, I went to the fair with my friends, and like the big draw that year was the Charlie Daniels Band. All right. This is like early 2000s, not even remotely relevant at all. So like,
and I think there are historic moments, right, that started, that happen throughout the fair that are kind of cool to think back through about what's happened there. It's kind of crazy to think that the fair currently sits on almost 400 acres. Which is a lot, and it is
a lot. I did not realize that.
Yes, yeah, it's very overwhelming, because of its size. When Megan and I went to the Texas State Fair in Dallas, and that was just absolutely obscene, like on a whole nother level. I think you have to definitely go there for a very particular reason. If you're just like, I want to go to the fair, you were not going to have fun. But if you're like, I'm going to go there and I'm going to have a funnel cake, like at least it's a goal, and you can.
I mean, I guess that's true.
For us with the kids, we're going to find animals, we're going to find trucks, and we're going to ride like a ride. Done. and then we can spend 3 hours there and not have to. And we're like out. I'm out, and I don't have to worry about what's
That's
over
true.
this exhibit. I don't have to because
Go all night. Yeah.
Will plan their day around the different events that are happening at different stages across time, and like make sure everything lines up, and like it's a thing. And
That's so confusing.
I
Oh man, yes. So I remember I was going to throw in my anecdote for this is beware of fair rides. So my fair ride experience.
Okay. Yeah.
And the last time I ever rode a ride at the fair, I think, was in high school. I went and I got on that. It's like the one that goes like it's so you sit in this little cage thing, right? And it goes up like it looks like a big like belt. You know, it goes up and down, but the little cages roll around.
They spin,
you know?
Yep.
Yeah. And so I sat in this cage and they put that little metal bar thing on your lap, you know, to kind of hold you in place. So the ride's going and I'm not a small person. So I was kind of like tightly squeezed in this cage, right? And so I'm rolling around and all of a sudden this bar thing pops open. And I went flying forward and like my face slammed into the cage thing in front of me. Right. And so my head just bounces off of this door like kabam! And so I like rocket backwards and I spend the last like, I don't know, 45 seconds of the ride with I kind of turn my hip sideways. So I
to lock your
shoving my elbow into the seat behind me with my left hand. And I had my right arm like forced forward onto the door so I could like stabilize my body.
Oh my gosh.
So I wouldn't roll and tumble around inside this little cage with no lap belt on.
Yeah.
It was not a good experience. I was very dizzy. I almost threw up afterwards.
I would too.
So I think the only fair ride I rode since then was like the one that's just like the little car that like goes around, like the little go-kart track thing. Rode that once. But like after that, I was like, nope, no more broken fair rides for me. Yeah. Staffed by a dude who like sees you bouncing around in the cage and goes, well, anyway,
rad, bro, rad.
Yeah, like no ride stop, no nothing. Just my head careening off of a metal cage, and then
oh my gosh,
lucky.
Trying not to repeat that performance for the next like minute of the ride.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna stick to like the only high profile one, the Ferris wheel. Because
there you go.
You know, it at least it's not squirreled away in some deep dark corner.
Yeah.
Literally center stage in the fair alley or in the ride.
It's true. Hopefully that one is maintained slightly better.
But who knows? We'll see. So that's exciting. That's fun.
Yes.
So it's fair time, fair week, fair next 2 weeks.
Good. There you go. I forget it's 2 weeks. Also,
2 weeks. It's not a month. The Texas Fair is a month. It's a whole month.
Yeah, but you know they're trying to overachieve with their stuff there. So like,
but yeah, 2 weeks. It's like plus it also ends on a it ends on a Sunday, so it's just weird because it starts on a Thursday, it ends on a Sunday.
That is weird. So it's going on right now already.
Currently, yes.
Okay.
You're in our third full day. Yeah.
Woohoo!
Right.
How?
Crazy.
Something.
Yeah. Anyway, Airman, are you surviving?
Yeah, doing pretty good. First week of school, we started Thursday, and then did Friday. We have our first scrimmage for football this coming Friday. And then a week after that, we will be, having our first game. It's a little tedious right now because I don't have any Chromebooks in my class. And it's kind of hard to teach a computer class with no Chromebooks. So I kind of had to improvise on a few of them. but I'm teaching all middle school, so it's relatively easy. Someone did make the really smart decision to put like all of the boys in one class and then like all of the girls in another class. So I just have like nothing but like classes of like all people. So it's a little tedious, but
That's odd.
yeah. So it's kind of sucky, but yeah, I mean, the first 2 days went pretty good. I'm very interested to see if I actually have Chromebooks in my class. As of Monday, I don't have a whiteboard in my class still, so I don't know how I can, do that things. I can't assign anything to Google Classroom because the school program doesn't have me listed, and so I am just
the email program.
Well, no, so I have an email, but as far as like the grading, WinGauge, we use WinGauge.
Oh, in the okay.
Yeah, and so I'm not listed in that for some reason, and they're befuddled of why.
Is a problem.
And so I'm just kind of just hanging out, vibing, doing what I can with what I got, really.
Well, you should still be able to use like Google Classroom without that.
Well, yes, but I still don't have Chromebooks to.
Oh well, yeah. I mean that takes a few days to get because they gotta sign them out to everybody, and they gotta make sure everybody's filled out the form and like.
Yeah, but for us though, like they're only keeping Chromebooks like in each class. Like their kids aren't taking them with them. All the other kiddos, all the other classes have their stuff, and so. They're like, oh, you're teaching computers or keyboarding. And I was like, great, where's my Chromebooks? And they're like, you can teach computers. I'm like, great, where's my Chromebooks? So that's kind of what I'm dealing with now.
So were the first 2 days actually just cursive handwriting?
No, I wish. No, still pretty much, getting, down with expectations, getting, everyone on the same page.
Fair.
The schedule is it's weird because again, small school problems. Everything is like the schedule is just like off. So either you how to best describe it. So I have all middle school kids, so that's not a problem really for me. The problem does happen is when you get like middle school and high school kids because someone thought it was a good idea to kind of offshoot the schedule. So even though like, yes, you don't have middle school kids at this time, but you have high school kids waiting out the hallway for your class to start, but you can't do anything yet because you have middle school kids in your classroom. So it is a bit wonky.
That's really weird.
I now do breakfast for sixth graders, even though they're like, oh yeah, you'll only do, you only be assigned one day to do it. And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I can do that. And then they're like, oh no, you need to have lunch duty for sixth grade, like every day. I'm like, oh, that is not what the schedule permitted me. So that's cool. I'm excited. So I get to be with sixth graders. I'm their class sponsor, but like still, the sixth grade class is so small they just combined it all into one class.
Ooh.
So that's still a little bit. There's 25 of them in total. So,
wow,
they just kind of put it all into one grade. All right, go. Yeah, sweet. This will be fun. So yeah, that's kind of been my week, trying to balance scheduling. Getting up early to drive an hour is still a little bit different, but
yeah, I'm
getting used to it. It's not a bad drive. I don't hit traffic or anything super early in the morning or anything like that.
85 miles an hour.
Well, I mean, I can't say no.
Do you have your car back?
Busted.
Do what?
Do you have your car?
Oh, my car.
Yes.
Oh, so I'm picking up the car tomorrow. Yes, it was a fuel pump issue. Although pray tell that it is the only issue with it. He said there's probably other things wrong with it. He's like, but the main thing to get your car like moving is the fuel pump. And I was like, dope.
So, all right, we'll start there. Boom.
Yeah.
Yep, Uno.
So we'll see how that do. But yeah, that's kind of all he talked about. They have the place I took it to is kind of weird. They're not open on weekends, so we kind of had to do a little makeshift thing of, hey, leave the car there. I'll pick it up with the other set of keys. Just leave the keys in it. Which every other automotive place in town is open on the weekends. But I mean, he was really nice. They got it done, even though they said like, oh yeah, it'll take like, give me, I'll get to it next week. And then they called me like Friday, like, hey, we got your stuff. And I was like, oh, that's not next week. Thank you. But
probably just got the stuff faster than they thought. Like, oh, hey.
Yeah. So I was kind of expecting to be, out of pocket on the car for like a good while. But yeah, they got it done. And it's ready to roll. We're picking it up tomorrow. We've just been kind of all over the place today. And so like, it's not going anywhere. We'll just get it tomorrow.
True. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, school's going good. We'll see what next week brings. Again, if I have Chromebooks. If I don't, if my whiteboard's not up, I'm just going to stick it on the wall, like put some desks underneath it, just teach it that.
Oh no.
My planning period is kind of nice because I get like a legit hour because I get lunch and I get my plan period, so it's kind of nice to actually get caught up on things, do the things I need to. So yeah. I'm getting into the rhythm. It's nice. I'm really enjoying my kids. They're a little bit of a handful, but majority of them are pretty good.
Oh, good.
This is good news.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yes. So.
And Brandon, you're transitioning.
Yeah, we started back this week.
Oh,
so
hey.
like it's just in service day. So I had like 12,000 hours of meetings and like growth plans and other things. I don't even know. Like new like technology in services, and they changed our gradebook thing. So that's exciting.
Lovely.
But I don't have any kids in mind yet. So like I can't see how it works because I haven't filled out my classes. So they're all like, well, you do this to make an assignment, but you can't try any of that if there's no class.
Right.
So I still got to wait on that one. Got to see how this is all working out. So that's been sort of it. And then just sort of trying to figure out my life. And we have to watch all these like training videos, for literally everything in the world. And then at some point also try to remember what I do on the first week of school. Like, what do I do? I don't remember. Good thing I wrote it down somewhere.
I just have to find it.
I just have to find it and then
Do it.
kind of build out my first week. It's around here somewhere. So I was doing that, and then I sort of like, I was just dinking around with some of my files, like converting them into the format I wanted them in. Because I decided to change one of my things like in the middle of the year last year. So I have some of those done, but like the ones from the beginning I didn't do yet. So like like some of my student data stuff.
Yeah.
I just want it in a different format that they can use easier. So I was converting some of that over for my first unit. So I was like, oh yeah, we're going to need this soon. So blap, let's do this right now. And then try to do all that while navigating a new administrative dude. So that's like a big unknown in the whole, like everything, right? Like, what does this guy want? I don't know what's happening, so it's a whole mysterious thing, right? Trying to do all that nonsense. So we'll see. I figure I'm just going to keep doing like I normally do things. And if somebody doesn't like it, they'll tell me, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
No, that's definitely the way to go. For sure.
It's a whole thing. I talked to my principal about it a little bit because I was kind of panicking, because they're all like, data, chartable, quantifiable data. And I'm like, I have this. Is this what you want? Because I always feel like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes, like we've talked about this before, I think, though, like the things that they want and the things I want are not always the same things. Right. And so I'm like, I want them to be able to like physically show me things, like do this thing, right? Like, build this thing for science or whatever. And it's like, is that chartable? Is that good enough for you? Like, is that what you want?
Sure.
Can I put this on your little graph? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
That's kind of the same problem that I'm running into, is that this school got one of those developmental grants like several years ago, and like everything is data oriented, which is fine.
No, I mean, it's good, but like it's helpful and it's a good idea. But like, I'm just worried if my data is like, is it sufficient enough for
And so there's a lot of it that's like, oh hey, do this and then chart X amount of that on you have to have a data wall, or you have to have like kind of all this other stuff, and it's like I don't know how to do that. And like, oh, I have to have it on a data wall, and then all the kids have to have every like a data folder, and go with every kid, and it's like
that's what we not even did too.
Teaching state standards, I have to use a different curriculum or a different kind of testing stuff. And it's like, oh, what do you want from me? And I'm having to learn the pacing and everything of everything. It's like, oh, this is fun. I'm having fun. Thank you.
Well, it's hard too because like I talked to my principal because I just talked to her a little bit about it because the whole thing is like, do the kids know what they're learning? Right. Yeah. That's kind of the reason for that. Because in some classrooms, no, they don't do that. But like, so the question, they're always like, display this on the wall. Like, I don't like, that's lame because my kids know because I tell them all the time. Like, we talk about it all the time. Right. So like, they're like, well, how do you know the kids are doing it? It's like, because I ask them and then I talk to them about it. Like, it's like, so I don't, is that good enough for you? Like, is that what because that's what I'm doing like all the time.
Yeah.
Like, literally all the time, because that's like the whole point of a lot of the stuff I do. So, but she was kind of like, yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But there was that, those first several days of panic of like, oh no, my God. But I did find a sweet new trial thing I'm going to try about erosion. So there is that. I have developed a new plan, like an experiment thing for sometime in there to talk about erosion. So it's going to be great. It's going to be exciting. Yes.
Cool.
We're going to talk about like erosion and its effects. So basically, I'm going to get some little, those little like foil bread pans, and I'm going to cut one of the ends off and fill it with dirt, and then like, pour water over it and measure how much soil gets washed away into a collection pan. Obviously, not into the floor. Hopefully, so we're going to have that. That's going to be our baseline. And then I'm going to give them stuff, like random things, and say, can you make it erode less using one of these materials? Go.
Love it.
And then they have to talk about when we talk about erosion and stuff like that. Yeah, how you can slow it down and everything. So I think that'll be fun.
I think so too.
Could be cool. So I have to figure out where to put that. But I have it kind of thought out now. So we'll see.
Yeah. You have it there.
That'd be cool because we can actually like collect the soil and like measure how much was washed out, So we'll either weigh it or put it in a cylinder or something, just whatever is easier, to see if they slowed it down from the baseline or not. So I think it'd be cool. It's like something fun. They like that kind of stuff. It's like a challenge, right? Present to them as a challenge and like, yeah, I'm in. So,
well, yeah. I mean, and I think the fact that again, you're leaving it open-ended allows you to really play with different possibilities and allow for people to not have all the same solution. And that's something that we're working with Lillian and Noah right now. We have this big box of 27 experiments or whatever. And Lily keeps saying, what are we supposed to get? What are we supposed to get? My answer is, well, we're going to get what we get. And we're going to...
Yeah,
right?
My kids really hate that when I tell them that, right? Because, it's hard because, like, a lot of times before they've had to, they're used to having an answer.
Yeah.
Right. One singular answer. And in some of the stuff that I try to do, it's like, like, what do you think? I don't know. I try to do, and they really get mad at me, even in like a presentation, they're like, is this good? I'm like, I don't know. Do you think it's good? Do you have all the stuff on the rubric? Did you? I don't know. Yeah. We'll find out when you present it. Dun, dun, dun. Like, but they really don't like that sometimes, They really...
No.
They really get grumpy with me.
No, they do. I mean, when Lily or Noah asked me something of like, well, what is this? Or what's this supposed to be? What is that? Most of the time, I will say, what do you think? Or what do you think? Because like I may know, or I may not know, or I may think about it, or I'm genuinely trying to have a conversation with them about that, and they get frustrated whenever you do put it back to them on that like that. But I think that's really, really important, and I think for me too, it's a lot of I need to be very careful of speaking first in a lot of those situations because I don't want to be the one who sets the idea or the tone or the direction of where we're going with this adventure of wherever we're going down, whether it's wrong or not, of just talking out their thoughts and then at the end doing the correction, because I know I have a tendency to immediately say, oh no, well it's this and this is how it works and this is what's going together and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, right. And so take a step back and just be like, no, what do you think happens whenever we're going to add the yellow food dye? I want to talk about it, and they get frustrated sometimes, but it's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, like I will help them. I will steer some of them.
Well, sure.
When they get like super mega stuck, I'm like, oh, we should. But like, and I also make sure to tell them when we do these things, like, anytime we do those, our big like making things, that whether or not it works is irrelevant, right? I'm not grading you on if it works, right? So 0% of the grade is, did it work? Like, did you follow the steps and like apply these things and do that? That's what I care about. Right. And were you a good partner if it's a partner one, because that's a big one. But like, it's like,
obviously
it's like, I don't care if it works or not. That's not like with our air pressure, when we do the big air pressure thing, and like I give them a list and they have to try to figure it out and they have to explain how it works and everything. Like, I don't care if your demonstration like doesn't work right, because sometimes something's messed up and it doesn't, like that. I don't care. I don't care if it doesn't work. I care if you could tell me what we're talking about. Can you tell me why this demonstration works? Can you tell me like all this stuff? That's what I want to know. I don't care if it's right. I don't care if it worked or not. Just
no, it's a good point. Because I think, especially for things like science or whatever, or you're doing an experiment, there's so many things that go into that. Like what we're doing right now, it's mostly a lot of things that are going to make crystals or make precipitates or whatever. And so much of that is dependent on the quality of the product in the jar or how long it's sitting there and all this stuff. And it's like, look, we can follow all these directions to a T. Whether it works or not, who knows? we're just along for the ride.
Yeah. Well, and really, like the other goal for me, at least in my classroom, is like I want, like, by not focusing so much on like the right answer, and like by not, I'm really hoping that we're building like, this is a safe environment, right? Like, you can mess up, I don't care, right? It's a positive environment to be in.
Yeah.
At least that's my goal, because that's why I tell them all the time, because they'll be like, well, I don't know. I was like, of course you don't. We literally just learned about this. Why would you know this right now? That's fine. Don't worry. I don't care. Like, hopefully it's making it like a positive place where you want to be, and giving kids a positive, like, impact in a school environment, and then hopefully specifically about the subject, like, oh, I don't hate this after all, because a lot of people are like, oh, I hate science. I'm like, haha, how about now though? Like, like,
yeah. Well, yeah, no, you make a good point, like making it safe to fail, because it's like, I want you to feel, because you're right, there's no judgment. It's not, and I love that point of like, it's not graded on the result, it's graded on the process and how you handled it. There's everything else is thrown is for the grade, except whether it turned blue or pink, because I don't care. I really want to know, like, like what you thought about the process, or how you understood what we were doing, and how you communicated that. And it's okay to not get the result. I really don't think that that's prevalent enough, even in adult societies. I
was definitely not
having places that it's safe and it's okay to fail in certain areas, because I know it feels like every moment can be this, like, this is it. There's nothing I can't try anything, I can't do anything, I can't experiment with anything, I can't change anything, because if I fail, it's all going to blow up. And whether that's internal or external feelings that we have about ourselves, like, we don't have that in any other world for most of the time where we are when we're out and about.
Yeah. And I brought that up in one of our meetings, because again, I'm on the district, like the building leadership team somehow. I don't know how that happened. But I brought that up, like, for the teachers too. It's like, that should be the environment that we are working in as well. Like, it's fine, like, oh no. Like, yeah, I've talked to the science department, and we kind of came to the conclusion last year, like, the elementary needs to be doing more science. That's what we know, that it's happening, it's coming. But like, we want to be a resource and be like, hey guys, if you have science questions, you can ask any of us. It's fine. Come on down. Come on, hang out. We'll talk about it. Like, like, that's the kind of, we want to be like a helpful tool for everybody, and push that forward to make it better for everybody. Because it's hard, if you're an elementary teacher, if you teach like 4th grade, you have to be an expert in like every subject, and that's not reasonable. So if you need help with it, come ask a person that only teaches that thing. Like,
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, to develop, basically trying to develop professionally, right? That is a really hard space to enter in, knowing I don't know everything and I might fail. But it's okay to do that in certain circumstances, right? It's like, why, to remind ourselves, this is why we're going through this process. It's like these two different mindsets of, like, you have a beginner mindset and expert mindset, and too many times in our adult lives, like, we carry around expert mindset. I've got to be the expert in everything, or I'm the expert in my field, but we never go back and we put on that beginner mindset hat and try and look at it from a different lens, or try to learn it anew.
Yeah. And even, just because I know if I was still teaching like language arts, and like, I would be like, I would go to some of these people and be like, you're really good at this. I help. Like, tell me, give me some point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some people in our school that are like super good at that, and I would go to them. I'd be like, hey, how do you do this? because that would be my big area of weakness, and I would need help with that. So hopefully, I'm going to try to do some of that. But my motto for this year, I wrote down. I stole this from something else, but I'm going to make a sign. Progression, not perfection. Boom. What's up? I'm going to put that.
Love it. I'm going to have to use that.
Yes. I'm going to put that right next to my sign that says, "These are one-person seats. Stop sitting on each other, you weirdos." That's what.
Interesting. I don't know if they carry the same amount of weight in like implications for someone's life, but
they're both important for my room. Let me tell you what.
Oh, I love it. I'm doing a. I got selected to do a talk at a pet sitter conference next year. When they were like, what, like they wanted to know my topic, and I was like, they're like, talk about something that you're an expert on, whatever. And I was like, sweet, I'll talk about imposter syndrome, because it's something that literally I'm an expert in.
Oh yeah, we talked about that the other day.
Yes, I know. Exactly. So it's kind of funny. So I'm going to steal that statement from you, because I think that that's really
You're welcome.
In that. But yeah, they were like, what would what's something that you have like a lot of history in, or blah blah. And I was like, boom, got this.
Got this. You can cite that episode for everybody. You can
inadequacy. Here you go. Just the assigned listening. Before you come and talk, before you come and listen to this talk, I need you to listen to this. It's all going to make sense. Maybe, probably not, but
probably won't.
Speaking of
long and rambly, and there'll be a little bit that's relevant, and then more rambling.
Pass over those parts. Speaking of previous episodes, I recently had my third favorite ice cream. Matter of fact, when I say recently, I mean just like nigh on an hour and a half.
Did you? Very nice.
I did. Megan disappeared to the grocery store. A, because we need food, and B, she wanted to go because she wanted to wear our pet sitting shirt so that she could advertise to everybody there. And I was like, I don't want anybody who's at. Nobody's going to be there from town. Like, I don't want to advertise to people from Kansas. And she was like, we got to go. It's good marketing. Let's go. So she went, and because that's how she worked.
We paid tons of money for this shirt. We're going to wear them always.
Exactly. And she showed back up, and she had like this like peanut butter crunch extra thing, and then a double strawberry. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm going to have this right now. And it was so good. It was so good. I was like, oh man. Just everything that I had flashing through my mind about me describing why I would choose strawberry as my favorite, flooding back. And I was like, it's so refreshing. It's light. Like, I'm going to have a scoop of this, and I'm going to have 17 scoops of this chocolate peanut butter thing. I'm going to feel like a ton of bricks on the couch. But it's going to be great. It was really nice. Anyway, I just had to throw that out there.
This is, I think it's in danger of no longer being his third favorite ice cream, Aaron. I think we're
no,
a little bit more than that.
No, because I did go to the other one, and I was like, okay, this is far superior in every way. But I did enjoy eating the strawberry.
Okay.
It brought to life of all the same things that I was thinking about. And I was like, okay, it like really solidified of like, yeah.
Oh, solidified the choice. Okay.
The third. It didn't
perfect.
Move up or down. It was just like, perfect. This is good. It was just like, like it was a, nice.
Lovely.
Anyway.
Okay.
I was also reminiscing about things of years past. I've been listening to a lot of like alternative pop or like pop funk from the early 2000s. And then this led down a weird road that I can't really explain how I got there. But I started looking like movies from the early 2000s. And one movie that I don't know if you guys have any memory of this because it like all came flooding back to me in a rush of horrible emotions. Was the movie AI, Artificial Intelligence?
Oh
yeah. I don't have very strong feelings about this movie. I'm very curious to see why.
Okay. So this came out in 2001. First off, I didn't know this was supposed to be a Stanley Kubrick movie. But he ended up passing away in 1999. But before he did, he gave it to Steven Spielberg to tell. So it's this weird. That's why this movie feels weird.
Oh yeah,
that's true. That is a very different theme to go from Kubrick to Spielberg.
Right. So if you
different stylized,
extremely stylized. So if you take it, I don't know if you guys how much remember. Do you guys remember this movie? First, do you remember this movie at all?
Yeah, isn't this based on it's based on a science fiction novel too, yes?
Yes.
Loosely. Right, isn't it? Is it
the short story Super Toys Last All Summer Long by Brian Alden is the Super Toys Last All Summer Long. I just remember that.
Now, can we talk about for just a second how the book version of the titles is like always superior?
Oh,
right, in like every way, right? Do you know the book name of? I think it's Blade Runner. Do you know the Philip K. Dick? You know what the book title is for Blade Runner?
Mm-mm.
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
See,
hey,
how much better is that?
See, no, I think I really like the book title because it is if you go into the movie and you think of the movie is going to be science fiction, none of it makes sense and it's pretty stupid. If you watch it as if it were a fairy tale, if it were in essence the actual Pinocchio story that it is, right? Because that's there's even like the blue fairy and things like that, and he wants to be right. Then it makes a whole lot more sense. And a title called Super Toys Last All Summer Long.
That's a great title.
Fairy tale,
man,
through and through.
Really cool.
So good.
This movie, just utter and total like depressing through and through. I cannot there's like ugly cry at the end, but like all throughout, it's just to me, it's just sad. It is just a full-on sad movie. It's about the AI boy who is programmed to love and be loved, and his parents dump him in the woods because their other son, who was in a coma, comes back and they don't want him anymore. And then he goes on this adventure to find love and what it means to be loved. But he can only love and express love towards the mom at the beginning of the film. And the most depressing part of this entire movie, and all these emotions came flooding back, it's this big escape scene, and he escapes the cops and blah, blah, and they get in a crash, and he plummets into this body of water. And he thinks he sees the blue fairy. And the blue fairy was a fairy tale that they told amongst these AI creatures that if you wish, you go find the blue fairy to become real. And so people would try this. He thinks he's found it. It's this blue flashing light thing above him. And he like wishes / prays to it for 2,000 years, wishing to be real until his battery. And
okay.
He's just like stuck in the water. The little boy wishing to be real. And then he's resurrected by the new creations, and they say, you can only get they say, what do you want? And he says, I want to love my mom so that I can be real. And they're like, well, we can't do that, and blah blah. They find trickery, waving magic hands. They can bring his mother back for one day and then never again. She does that, and they're laying in bed, and she says, I've loved you. I love you. I always have. Closes her eyes. She's never going to come back. He closes his eyes. We don't know what's going to happen to him. And that's the movie. And you're like, what? What? And in the middle, there's like Jude Law, who's like a gigolo, and like all this weird stuff going around. And
I think I've seen this movie exactly one time.
Exactly.
So like I'm
exactly one time. Chris Rock is in this as for the entire purpose of being a robot who is destroyed by being blasted through acid and into a massive plane propeller to be destroyed into a million pieces. There's like it's called Flesh World. It's called Flesh World, where humans come up to watch robots be destroyed and tear each other apart, and that's like a weird thing, and it's very
Roman, right?
Very bizarre. And I think for me, what was so traumatizing about this was that it was from the eyes of the kid, right? Of David. I forget. I don't even remember his first name.
Yeah,
I don't remember. Haley Joel Osment, right?
Yeah, exactly, Joel Osment. But this entire world is through the eyes of a child, and it's because of that it makes it all of these senses of emotion and feelings and whatever like really, really powerful and kind of hard to deal with, because there's just this innocence and like total naivety, and there's no story arc to David because he's a robot, and so he's put into this world to love and be loved. Nothing in the interim changes that. He after 2,000 years, he's brought back up, and he says, "I want to love and be loved." Like just like a child, right? Of like there's a single thought, and it's like soul crushing. I was like, I didn't even rewatch it. I just all these memories came back to me, and I was like, I can't even go back. I can't even think about that. It just like I can't even. And anyway, I don't watch this movie. It's not good. I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. It's if you want to cry.
Sounds like no, yeah.
Depressed. But it was weird because I remember watching this, and I think I thought it was something else of like expecting more of the like questions about what it means to be AI or can they love or blah blah. And instead it was this weird thing, and I just I don't know if you've had that movie of like I don't know what I'm trying to ask of like it wasn't what you expected. I think that's a little too surface or like this movie of like I can't even like it's not that I hated it. It's just like I can't even go through that process of watching it again. I don't know if you guys have had that.
I'd have to think about that one real hard because I'm not really sure. Definitely not with that visceral of a response. I don't even really remember AI that much.
Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, and I remember like when it came out and like all the hype with it, and I remember watching it and not really understanding it because I was so little and so young that it was just like because I remember like he had a teddy bear, he had a robotic teddy bear, right?
Yes, Teddy.
I don't know.
So the weird thing here is here's the weird part is that
this is the weird part.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Teddy, he's given Teddy to guide him throughout life because he's supposed to be a child. So Teddy is another AI programmed basically to be David's conscience throughout this process of telling him what to do and what not to do. Because David doesn't know, because he's only programmed to do like one thing. And so it's an actual teddy bear that talks to him and guides him and voices his thing, much like Geppetto.
Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket, sorry, Jiminy Cricket. Yes, much like Jiminy Cricket, not Geppetto. Yeah. And there's weird, anyway, yeah, he has a teddy bear.
Yeah. So for me, I can't really say much because I was trying to explain the concept of the movie Warriors of Virtue to Shelby the other day. So talking about like movies that's like, this is so cool, this is the next Ninja Turtles, and like, what did I just watch? Kind of went down the drain for me. So like I can't, with that movie I can't like get like emotionally attached because it was just like, what did I watch? I've been trying to find it for like over 2 weeks, so I had no luck. As far as films that's like, Collin, ask your question one more time, pretty please.
are there films? I don't know. I guess I'm asking, like, do you have these films like you watched once, or when you think about, you do have these kind of visceral response to them where it's just like you can't even like. I feel like I'm kind of intrigued to watch this movie again, but I just don't think I can do that because of the kind of response that I have thinking about the emotions that go on with it. I don't know if that
okay. So the movie that's coming to my brain, is it The Imitation Game with hold on here. What is his name? Famous British actor. IMDb. British Imitation Game.
What a Google.
IMDb is taking forever.
It's British actor.
Good.
Imitation. Yeah, The Imitation Game. Benedict Cumberbatch. There we go. All right,
Okay.
so I watched this film. Basically, it's about the scientist that tried to crack the Enigma code from the Germans during World War II.
Oh,
it's about Alan Turing.
Turing, yeah.
And it's like super fascinating. It's like, oh man, he finds love, and he's like trying to go through this, and like, oh, the guy that was his like enemy is like not his enemy anymore because they're like friends trying to come up with the same goal. And then it's just like so there's that part, and then it is just an emotional roller coaster because during this time of British policies, gay individuals, it was illegal. And so like he's then battling this, like the second enemy, of kind of all of this. And you're just like, but we just got through like that part. Like why do you want to do this to me on this part? Like I just like, oh, he did it. They cracked the code. And then it's just like a whirlwind of like, oh yes, here's this, he gets arrested and he gets, what is that word called? I can't think of it. Where it's, chemically castrated and kind of all this stuff. And it's like all these things are done to him, and you're just like, yo, like my guy, can I just? I was happy like 5 seconds ago. And then you bring this upon me. And like it is a great movie. There's like incredible acting in it because Benedict Cumberbatch, but there's like I don't know if I can bring like not just like emotionally bring myself to it, but it was like emotionally exhausting at the tail end because like I just can't do it. It's a good movie and I highly recommend it, but it is just like, oh, I'm sad now. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I have. Yeah, I don't know if I have a movie that I can think of off the top of my head that is like that for me. That has that same level of like, oh, I don't know.
And I know for the AI, like for this one, it's I think the real part about it is like because it's a child and like at multiple times throughout the movie, he's like begging and pleading basically for love and like solely fixated on this, and he can never get it or attain it. And like I think that's part of it of just like, oh my gosh, like that kind of that gives me such a depressing feeling to even experience. Like, granted, in the movie, it's a robot and blah 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 blah, and it's not real. But it's just like, ugh, it just makes me. Well,
yeah, but I mean, I think that's where the fact that it was handled by Spielberg becomes the problem, because like the reason that you do those things in a movie that's a robot, kind of like Blade Runner, right, is you're talking about like this. It's like almost like an existential question of like, if there was this like AI, robot in this situation, like, should you feel this way about it? Because is it a real person? Is it just a robot? Like, these are very like complicated like questions that need to be handled slightly more carefully, and they're there if you want to think about them, but like, movies like that, they're kind of not always done the right way.
Yeah, and this one,
And it's like it kind of like gets convoluted in there. Whereas these questions are like, this is like Isaac Asimov wrote about this like a lot, and those other science fiction writers at that time kind of did that same thing. Like it's a pretty like deep thought process. So
and this one is
shoehorning it into a Pinocchio allegory is a little bit,
totally
appropriate, right. I guess, but
well, and part of it too is the premise of this is that David's creator is starting a company to create more David to basically be comfort children to parents who don't have kids or who have lost a child and want a child in their life. And so from his basic programming that this is his sole thing. He's meant to love a parent and have that kind of bond and relationship with the mother and with the father. And so it's like he's not capable of anything else. But each stage he's always looking for that, searching for it. And just again, it's like I don't anyway. All that because I started to listen to Motion City Soundtrack and AFI and other from the early 2000s.
AFI. Oh my gosh.
I had a recommended. It was let me tell you the name of this. The recommended album on. If it loads. Oh yeah, I had 2000s alternative hits, and I had pop punk classic. And I was like, yes, please.
There you go. Boom. Yeah, I guess I watched a movie not too long ago, like over the summer. I went on a very long, weird, like spaghetti Western kick.
Nice.
Right? Don't ask. It's fine. Everything's fine. But like, I watched that movie called. I was just watching random movies, right? And so I somehow ended up watching a movie called Apache Woman, which is not good by any stretch of the imagination, right? Like, it's not a good movie. So, like, you don't feel like you have to seek this one out.
Sure.
It's from like 1970 something. 6. I just Googled it. 1976. And it's kind of like that. It's like, it's very cliche, like a lot of spaghetti westerns are, right? It's like, army dude rescues Apache woman from like a thing, right? And then like he doesn't really like her, and like he can't understand her, and they go through all these like trials and tribulations, and like the end happens, and there's like they both like die. You're like, what, why? what the heck is this?
Yeah,
this is garbage. Like, why? Like, you took me on like this whole thing, like this whole like emotional journey, the best you can in a spaghetti western film, obviously, but like, and then you just like do that for like no real reason. Like,
right.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Because it was like this whole thing with this guy, like he thought, like, like you do in a Western movie, like you think Native Americans are trash, right? And then you're like, oh, actually, this person is nice, and they're just like a normal person. And then they kind of like fall. Yeah, they're like, oh, she's actually just like a person and not an actual savage. Wow. And
look at this character.
And he goes on this like kind of journey like that, and he like realizes that he likes her, and then all this stuff, and like they want to. He decides he's going to leave the army, and they're going to run away and start a life together. And then, like, the end happens. You're like, what? Well, I'm depressed now.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Feel just a little let down.
Yeah, they like build you up, and then kick the stool out from under you. Like, dang it. So I guess in some regards it's similar. Yeah. That same feeling of like, oh, it was going so well, and then blam. Like they just like I feel sad and I feel down, and I don't want to watch this movie anymore.
I'm done. I want to go home. Yeah.
I smell a sci-fi movie challenge coming up where we have to find a good one for Collin to watch.
Yes. Yeah. I do like that. I like the genre. This one was just. It was from the outset. It was. I think it was even marketed as very as sci-fi. Sci-fi. It was not marketed as fantasy. And that totally changes a lot of like even the implications of what you're watching. So like when you start realizing like, oh, there's like kind of, it's basically like there's magic involved.
Well, yeah, but that's just like Steven Spielberg marketing, probably like, oh, it's got a robot. Oh, excuse me. If we're going to talk about Isaac Asimov, a robot. That's how he pronounces it in all his interviews. It drives me crazy. But, like, oh, it's got a robot. Must be a sci-fi. Done. Easy. Genres are stark and have no fluidity whatsoever. Like,
no. Well, because he did. I mean, you can kind of tell the influence that this kind of put on him because in 2002 he did Minority Report. So
that movie's disappointing for other reasons. Like it's just kind of boring and not good. And like,
yes. But he's very Daniel London. My God, I forgot everything. And anyway, but yes, it's kind of in that. It's not in that same vein where it's not as sci-fi as Minority Report, but it kind of has all the same themes and undertones, but it's totally not sci-fi. But if you just look at it looks sci-fi, but it's not. I'll get off that.
Yes. Well, I would say Minority Report is definitely more in the traditional Spielberg wheelhouse, right? When you think about Spielberg movies, you're like, oh, that one fits better in like his general style, right? It's much more actiony. It's a little bit thrillery. It's trying to be anyway. And like, but I remember I went and watched that movie with memes. That was just like a movie we just go, there's this movie on right now. Let's watch it.
Yeah.
Right. And so we watched that, I remember, and we both left the movie theater like, I just, okay. Like that. I remember that. We saw it at Springfield 8. I remember just walking outside and her being like, well, that was a movie, I guess. So that.
Yeah. Oh, man. Love it. Sorry, I didn't mean to completely hijack this with my
No, it's fine.
Terrible, like
that's the whole point of this show. Have you been paying attention?
No,
it's literally what we do here.
I didn't.
Everything's fine.
Don't.
Well, I'll tell you before we go here. I'll tell you the thing I've been hijacked on this past week. Is I don't know how I fell into this rabbit hole, but I've been watching a lot of 80s wrestling. It's just the most hilarious thing you've ever seen in your entire life. it's so silly.
Oh no.
Like
I don't.
It's great.
Yeah.
Like it's just so silly and ridiculous. And it makes me giggle so much.
Yeah. Talk about theater.
Oh yeah, and it's like purest form, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's great. It's like it's if you compare it to like modern day wrestling, like the wrestling in the 80s is not good at all. It's really bad. It's boring. But like the characters and these people are hysterical.
I'm just scrolling through something right now. Like in this era, you have Hulk Hogan, which is like a whole podcast.
It's a whole thing.
Right alongside Andre the Giant.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh yeah. Plus Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Macho Man, Randy Savage.
Right.
Dad's favorite, Dusty Rhodes.
Dirty Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Ric Flair is poking around in there.
Oh my god.
Right. You got later, you have the Ultimate Warrior and his just like special brand of insanity. Sometime you should listen to an Ultimate Warrior promo. It's just screaming. And he's like rambling about like spaceships and warriors and like face paint. And you're like, what? Like, what are you talking about?
This is so crazy. Because
like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Yeah.
All these names. Yeah. I can honestly say, I don't think I've ever missed. I don't like Mr. T. My gosh, like I don't think I've ever.
Mr. T. Yeah, well, he wasn't. He was just at WrestleMania 1.
I know.
The tie-in
but
thing.
like he was kind of a
Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man.
Wow. I kind of feel like I've obviously heard all of these names. I've never seen any of these people wrestle, like ever, because by the time in the 90s and early 2000s, they were still stars for different reasons.
Yeah, well, they were just like around, right? You would like they would talk about them, or you would like see them then, as they were at that time, right?
Yeah. Or like Ric Flair, like he would show up for wrestling events sometimes as Ric Flair, but he wouldn't do anything.
Dude, that dude's still around. It's crazy. He's like
exactly right. You're like, what are you doing? How? But okay, maybe that's our challenge. Make it through.
I fell down that rabbit hole this week, and it's just some of the funniest stuff. Like Jake the Snake, right? Like ravishing Rick Rude. That dude is that guy's crazy, man. Like they made me giggle this week. It's been hilarious.
Well, maybe I'll watch that and bring me out of my despair brought on by
the Iron Sheik, right? It's hilarious, especially like I don't know. It's just so funny, like some of the things they do. Like was it Nikolai Volkov, right? He was like a bad guy, and before every match, he would just come out and sing the Soviet national anthem to get boos from the crowd, and it works so well. Everyone just hates him. Like, boo.
It's hashtag communism.
That's what you want in 1986 is the Soviet national anthem, obviously.
Yes. Buddy, really, but yeah.
Oh man, it's just so hilarious.
Characters, how strong they were. The wrestling was crap, but the character
it was bad, right? I watched some highlights of some of the matches. You're like, arm drag, punch, sleeper hold, more sleeper hold,
ooh,
punch. Like that's it. That's it, right? It's like, all right, there you go.
Getting intense.
It might have something to do with the fact that all these dudes are like gigantic, right?
Right. Well, that's true. But
like Macho dropping the elbow off the top rope is like the most exciting thing, right? That's all you get.
Because they can't do anything else because they're so
that style didn't come until like way later, But not that this is a wrestling podcast now, but like. When WCW started bringing in those like the Mexican wrestlers, and they, if you watch like early '90s WCW when they start bringing in wrestlers like Rey Mysterio Jr., like Psychosis, and like all these guys, and some of the dudes from Japan like Ultimo Dragon and Jushin Thunder Liger, you watch them wrestle, and the crowd is literally going, "What?
What are you doing?"
Like they're not making any noise; they're just staring, like, "What? What is this?" Like, how is this possible?
Because they're doing flips. They're like flinging around and off each other, and it's acrobatics at that point, and
it's so fast, right? Like, if you watch, there's one spot in one of those where like Rey Mysterio, he's up on the top rope and he does like a Hurricane Rana to this dude to the outside of the ring. It's like, and everyone's just going, what? Literally never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
So there you go. If you want some giggles, watch some 80s wrestling.
Love it. Okay, well, that's the... Okay, that'll be our branch off. Our branch... Sweet. Okay. Love it. Okay, so we have homework. Did we assign homework? Was it watch wrestling? Was it not watch wrestling? I can't remember what.
I mean, you don't have to watch it wrestling. That's okay. I won't force that upon you. If you do want to find a sci-fi movie for Collin to watch, if we have time for that, we could do that this week.
Yeah.
Sci-fi movie challenge. Anyone?
Let's do a sci-fi
Aaron?
movie challenge.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay. All right.
So wait, am I
Sci-fi movie?
What am I? What,
I think we should all just watch a sci-fi movie and report.
okay.
It's a broad genre. So your choice of sci-fi movie.
Watch a sci-fi
Boom.
movie and we'll talk about it. Okay. I
Yeah.
love it. Sounds good. Well, hey. Well, next time, friends. Love you.
All right.
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.